The Atlantic Division is a hot mess, boys and girls, and we are here to talk about it tonight. How it affects the Islanders and going forward here towards the rest of the season. My name is Paul Kreischer. I'm your host here of Isles Talk. Joining me, as always, the second smartest on the screen, Mr. Gary Vernon. Gary, how are you?
Good, sir. How you doing tonight?
Uh, I don't know. We'll find out here in a moment. But Florida Panther fans, Buffalo Sabres fans, Detroit Red Wings fans, for those of you who are brand new here, welcome to your season preview here on Isles Talk. Uh, I usually do things a little differently than everyone else. For those of you who are new to this show, I always play the percentages. I've been doing it now. Gary will tell you for at least 15 years now. It's never by the averages. It's never that standard. And what I usually do for each preseason is that I find a baseline for each of those preseason teams, and then I go over the offense, defense, goaltending, so on and so forth. And what I look for in each of those teams, I look for the healthiness. I'm looking for a balance coming out of those teams. And right now, again, it's August 23rd. Things can change. But right now, I know a lot of people want Ottawa in the playoffs. And, Thomas, we're going to talk about Buffalo in a minute. But, Gary, I got to tell you, this Atlantic Division, not only is it a hot mess, but this Atlantic Division basically have no backup goaltenders, and this is going to be a shooter's gallery. Uh,
For sure it is, and it's very possible. We may be a little bit going on a limb, but teams that we saw late in the season, late in the playoffs, it's very well possible, boys and girls, as Paul would say, they may not be there come April. It's very possible. And we'll talk about
very,
that later.
we are going to get right into it though. Um, First team we are going to talk about the Buffalo Sabres. Here you go, Thomas. That wasn't even planned, but the Buffalo Sabres are going to be first here, and uh, Buffalo for me. Their baseline, Gary, was 73 points, and that's just from the last 3 years. And I even took the percentages from their first year of COVID. Are the Buffalo Sabres better than a 73-point team? Absolutely. And that's where the fun begins for the Sabres fans. I want to know how good Buffalo really is going to be this year. And I think every fan, everyone in the media, everyone's rooting for Buffalo to make the playoffs this year. But I think that's also going to be their Achilles heel. Do they have enough to handle the pressure for the entire season and making the playoffs? Give me your thoughts on the Buffalo Sabres.
Um, yeah, it was very interesting how they started so well last year. They came out of the box amazing. Again, the story of this team was, of course, the overnight success. I shouldn't say overnight success, but amazing trend for Tage Thompson. That 5-goal night against Columbus, 3 in the first period. Um, he's a star waiting to happen. 47 goals, 94 points last year. My biggest fear is that he takes a step down. I don't want to see it. I think this kid's, we know his line lineage, from his dad being a coach here for years. He's a good kid. He's definitely has came from not a big, huge college program at UConn, to, the success that he's had. I think a big litmus test is on him. I think he got away with a lot more than maybe some people expected, but he's my big, I won't say question mark, but in order for, I think, Buffalo to take the next step, he's got to be at that level that he was at this past season. Looking at the rest of it, they've got a bunch of guys that are on the upswing. Again, Jeff Skinner, after a couple of real lousy years, had a decent year last year. Can that continue as well? So forward wise, I think they've got the goods. Defensively, they've made a couple of deals, getting Eric Johnson in. They've got Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, the former #1 pick from Michigan. They've got enough guys. But again, what we're going to say to all three of these teams that we're going to look at tonight, the biggest question on all three teams is behind the net. I think the biggest question mark is going to be in Buffalo's hands, because I think goaltending was probably the biggest thing that held them back from being a playoff team. And of course, Buffalo has gone, is it 11 years now without making the playoffs? Yep. They are the longest streak in the NHL. So, and I know many of my friends up there are like desperate for something good to happen. And believe me, I think that this is a good lineup to see things can happen. But the question is, you got Luukkonen at 24, you got Levi at 22, and Levi ended up the year doing okay, and you have Eric Comrie as the possible backup. Who knows? But one of those two kids has got to step up and make a big statement for this team. So, look at, as Paul tends to do, look at that 20 game mark and look and see if one of those the two young goaltenders makes a big statement. If they do that in the first 20 games, then I really think that Buffalo does have a shot of taking that 11-year-old record and putting it to bed.
So, Buffalo fans, let's take a look at some of your numbers here. Again, just based off the percentages, it's nothing exact, but the numbers in these cases don't lie. Offensively, for right now, you're on pace for 272 goals. Last year, I believe they were in the 290s. So there's a little bit of confirmation there that your offense shouldn't be an issue. As Gary said, as long as Thompson is rolling, Cousins is rolling, some of these vets continue to score, your offense should be good. Now, defensively and goaltending, I really take a long, hard look at goals against average, because for me, not only is that on the goaltending, but that's also on the team defense as well. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. A 3.47 for Luukkonen and a 3.32 for Comrie and a 2.94 for Levi is not going to get you into the playoffs. For right now, you guys are on pace to give up 275 goals. You're right there on that border.
And what's the number we're always looking at, Paul?
Well, believe it or not,
Usually.
Gary, when you want a solid playoff spot, you're looking for 225 from all the other teams.
Right. Okay, that's the number. I know the number we're talking about.
Right. If you're a bubble team, you want around 250. Buffalo Sabres can knock down that number by 25 goals and keep their offense there. Buffalo, I think you're making the playoffs.
That's a quarter of a goal a game.
Yep. Now, like Gary said, behind the net is absolutely key. Luukkonen, I have a little more confidence in. I think, he's been a product of some bad teams in the past, especially in his, early time. But you have no backup goaltender for the moment here, Buffalo Sabres fans. There's no backup goaltender. And as a matter of fact, that seems to be a theme here, Gary, in the Atlantic Division. Other than the Boston Bruins are the only ones with like a decent
1A, 1B.
1A, 1B. Toronto to a degree. I don't mind Samsonov and I don't mind Wall. I think if he plays, or Martin Jones, I don't know who's going to battle that out, but it's all Boston. It's all Boston. Everyone else, it's going to be a shooting gallery. So Buffalo, come training camp, you need to find out who your backup goaltender is. And again, Buffalo, you're going to be going up against pressure this year. You are being pressured to make the playoffs this year. Can you handle the pressure and get yourselves into the playoffs? The other thing I'm actually having an issue with Buffalo at the moment, there's not a lot of experience. There's not as much experience compared to, say, Detroit, compared to Boston, who might also be a, um, a wild card team here. Florida has the experience. Ottawa, they got a little bit better. Let me see about Ottawa real quick. Yeah, Ottawa's also on that borderline too, but I really didn't go over Ottawa that much.
Mhm.
Um, Buffalo, look, Buffalo, in all honesty, guys, Sabres fans, next year, I'm probably putting you in the playoffs. I think you're just 1 year away. You could remind me of the Toronto Maple Leafs a few years back when they first made it to the playoffs and you got swept by the Capitals in the first round. That's where I see the Sabres going this year. I think you may have enough to get into the playoffs, but I think it's your lack of experience that's going to have a little bit of an issue. Now, trade deadline. I definitely see Buffalo being buyers. I mean, it's August 23rd right now. I think Buffalo's a buyer at any cost. I think if they're that close, they're diving right in. So
And again, they're 8 million. They're 8 million under the salary cap as of right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
So that is,
Buffalo
you've got the room.
Buffalo
You're a
has the
couple.
room. Yeah,
You
Gary.
say you're within 6 points of a playoff spot at that point. Oh yeah, I'm buying. To get yourself in. And it's a point that they want to get themselves finally in the door.
Yeah.
To be able to come in that room. So they're going to do whatever it needs to do. There's a big guy, big stud guy on a team that's definitely not making the playoffs. If you're the Buffalo GM, you're Kevin Adams, you're going. You're doing it. You're putting all your chips in.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're gonna come up with a couple of other reasons why Buffalo will probably be buyers, but we'll get into them in a little bit later. But Buffalo, that's your season preview at the moment. I like your offense, your defense and goaltending. Gotta get those numbers down and just keep gaining that experience. But again, I think you're going to be buyers all season. If you can find the right trade, go for it. Um, but play spoilers all year long because it's going to be very difficult for some of these older teams to beat you guys all season long. But
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Gary. I think it might be one small step back this season, and then next season, forget it. I'm writing you guys in. I don't think there's going to be anyone who's going to debate that one. Yeah, another one who likes that second smartest on the screen. I know everyone loves Gary. So that's the Buffalo Sabres in a nutshell, folks. I'm also going to do it like this. A lot of people already have the New York Islanders out of the playoff hunt as of August 23rd. For Islander fans, do I think you have enough to beat out the Buffalo Sabres in the standings? Yes, I think the Islanders are going to be better than the Buffalo Sabres. Only because the Islanders have that experience, they have the better goaltending, they've been there before. So I don't know where exactly the rest of the media is going to put the Buffalo Sabres in their standings, but they better not put them ahead of the Islanders. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think that's going to happen. But Buffalo's going to
Although
be
we know,
close.
although we know how a lot of the upper media just loves this organization.
I know.
Insert sarcasm here.
Yes. So, all right. So that takes care of the Buffalo Sabres. And now we're going to move on to the team that I'm considering the dark horse this year, the Detroit Red Wings.
Yes.
Oh, boys and girls, I know a lot of you want Ottawa in the playoffs. In all honesty, I'm not covering Ottawa tonight because you literally don't have a backup goaltender. There is no backup goaltender for you right now. So, in all fairness, when I find out who the backup goaltender is, I will make a better prediction on them. A lot of people were telling me, "Oh, they got Tarasenko." I'm like, "Yeah, but you lost to Brinket. You'd rather have the Brinket to Tarasenko." You know,
Mm-hmm.
Ottawa's a little bit. Ottawa's not done yet. Ottawa is still a work in progress. So, the Sens fans, I'm going to give you guys a little more time to get your team together, and then we'll do a proper preview of them. But the Detroit Red Wings, oh, Gary, I'll say this now. If Detroit has any kind of defensive structure, doesn't have to be a Barry Trotz defensive structure, but if Detroit has any kind of a defensive structure, they're in the playoffs.
Oh, I
Okay.
totally agree with that. I mean, they made a couple of moves. They got Jeff Petrie recently in a trade. You got Justin Hall from the Toronto Maple Leafs. You got Shane Gostisbehere from he ended up where in Carolina last year at the end of the year.
Yep.
So you've got guys that are experienced. And of course you got Seider, who's quickly becoming a very, very capable defenseman.
Yep.
So again, the one statement we're going to say with all three, well, maybe not much as with Florida, but definitely with these two, is goaltending is going to be the huge issue. And if, again, just as you said, as the defense will go, and I'm sure you'll give the numbers to back it up. Offensively, I'm not worried about the Detroit Red Wings because I think you're going to definitely get contribution from 9. There's no doubt in my mind. Everybody says, "Oh, DeBrincat's too small." DeBrincat's he's not a big solid guy, but man, can he put that puck in the net? He's got great talent. So that adding with a Dylan Larkin and an Andrew Copp and a David Perron and Lucas Raymond, you've got a lot of good, solid players on that roster. So, like I said, offensively, and you'll say it, we're not worried. But if this defense holds up, there's no doubt in my mind that Detroit's finally going to make it to playoffs for the first time in a number of years.
All right, Red Wings fans. Right now, playing the percentages, you're on pace to score 291 goals this season.
Wow, 291.
291. That's what happens when you add Alex DeBrincat to your team. And a little bit of Shane Gostisbehere if he can stay healthy. Andrew Copp has had some, didn't have a great season. Watch him have a bounce back season.
You always wonder about guys that, especially in a market this big as Michigan is, when guys go home. To me, you take an Alex DeBrincat, figure him as at least a 30 to 35 goal scorer. I add 10% to that number because of the hometown. Because it tends to do that when somebody moves in to a new team. A lot of situations, that player is going to go even more above and beyond because he's home. He's getting the home cooking in a sense. He's got mom and dad close. All that really makes a big difference. And I think last year Copp didn't have the kind of season he would have wanted to have. But again, put these guys together. 290 is a nice number to have.
And I love Randy's enthusiasm for his participation, but no, I do not think the Red Wings are going to give up 400 goals. No, believe it or not, again, some of these, and the reason why I said defensive structure is because Husso actually came out of the St. Louis Blues organization. Craig Berube did have some kind of a defensive structure there, maybe something similar to Trotz, but Ville Husso, Alex Lyon, or James Reimer as their backup, either one of those two, the Red Wings are on pace to give up 247 goals. Again, some of those numbers are slightly off because Husso was with St. Louis, but that's my point. Ville Husso right now is on pace for 2.93 goals a game. If he gets that down to 2.7, 2.65 in the defensive system, slightly better than last year, Detroit's going to make a legitimate run here. And then you can give up. You can let Reimer play to his average. You can let Alex Lyon play to their averages, and they may still do better. Detroit absolutely has a shot at the bubble, and depending on what else happens to the other teams, third place is not out of the
Yeah.
it's not out of their reach this year.
And 5 million under the cap as well.
Five
So
million under the cap.
they have a little bit of wiggle room, in case something happens. But yeah, it's not out of the realm.
So for me, again, the numbers are not exact for me, but what they try to tell me is these numbers tell me a story. And if, again, Detroit has any kind of a defensive structure with this team, with the offense, the potential offense that this team has, playoffs. And I think they may do it before Ottawa. They're going to do it before Buffalo. And I know a lot of people are rooting on Ottawa, but right now, I have to let Ottawa complete their offseason because they're
And I
not.
really think that that Eisen's done a good job rebuilding this organization, and he's got a good pipeline down below, and he's done some of these moves with a year or two ahead in mind.
Right.
He's coming out of the Devellano atmosphere of all those years
Yes.
working in Detroit, so he's got the same kind of thought process going on.
Yeah.
So, I would not be surprised if something happened here, if somebody was brought up from their system and respond well. And again, I'm not too familiar with Grand
Marco
Rapids.
Casper. Marco Casper.
There you go. I knew
He
you
could
would
be
know.
that one.
So, yeah.
Marco
Austrian
Casper,
kid.
man.
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh. So listen, Detroit Red Wing fans, I'm excited for you guys. You guys are my dark horse this year. And I usually have a pretty good percentage of picking out a dark horse to make the playoffs. So Detroit, I'm rooting for you. I hope you guys get in. But you got, health wise, balance wise, Detroit has it. As long as there's some kind of defensive structure, look out. Now, how does that affect the Islanders? Well, look, Detroit makes the playoffs. Who are they going to knock out? That's another bubble team you're probably going to knock out pretty bad. I think the Islanders are still going to be there. I don't think Detroit's going to have to play the Islanders, but, in a battle towards the end of the season, unless the Islanders have some injuries, I think they would just get by Detroit. But I think that would be close if they were in a wild card race. And I mean by maybe if we beat Detroit in the standings, it would be by a point. But again, I don't know where the Islanders are going to be at the moment. We're still trying to figure out Pittsburgh. We're still trying to figure out the Rangers and whatnot.
And the other thing you have to think about too, Paul, I think with that division is you're not going to have a 65 win team in Boston like you had last season.
Not at all.
I think that could affect how the other teams in the division fare.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be, losing 3 out of 4 to the Bruins. It could be 2-2, it could be 1-3. So, those couple of wins here or there could be the difference of, say, a Detroit making it or the Islanders making it when you think about
That's right. That's right. Well, look, at this point in time, for all the Atlantic Division fans out here, I only have Montreal as not making the playoffs. The other 7 teams, you all have a run at the playoffs this year. Start, August 23rd. And I'll include Ottawa. Ottawa's got the offense. But again, there's a lack of experience, and I'm not completely sold on goaltending with Ottawa just yet.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm excited for Buffalo. I'm curious about Ottawa. I'm rooting for Detroit. But, for right now, Montreal's the only team I can't put anywhere near a playoff hunt. I don't think they have anything to go. They got to battle 7 teams. I just can't see it.
No. But they've got a pipeline too, I think, and I think
they do have a good pipeline.
Yeah. I think they drafted well. I think it's just a matter of just letting the soup cook a little bit.
Yep. So the third team and final team on our preview list here tonight are the Florida Panthers, the reigning Eastern Conference champions. Listen, Florida fans, I'll say this now. It's going to be tough to win. with Ekblad and Montour out for a good extended amount of time. Matthew Tkachuk is still recovering from a cracked sternum, if I'm not mistaken. That usually takes about 3 months
Yeah.
to heal or whatnot, depending on how he's breathing and everything else. Look, I'll be completely honest with the Florida Panther fans. I'm a big proponent of the first 10 games, not just the 15 and 20. Um, Florida needs to keep up with Buffalo, Ottawa at the bare minimum. They got to keep up with Detroit. They got to keep up with all of these teams that have been behind them now, because if the Florida Panthers can't play NHL 500 hockey through the first 10 games, they're in trouble. Gary, this is a team at this point, if they miss the playoffs this year, it's because they went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
And have the hangover.
And the
You're just talking about their schedule, and I just went on their site, and I'm just looking at their schedule. They're only playing two of their first 9 games against their division.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing. I mean, they got one
No.
home game against Toronto and on the
Nope.
road at the end of the month in Boston.
Nope.
You're playing the West, and that's going to be a hard thing to sell. I mean, although they are home games, I believe. Yes, they are against the West. But that's going to be a tough test, because you're not playing against the teams that you really need to fight with. And
Nope.
they've got to come out of that 2, 5, 7. It's actually 8 games. They got to come out of October 6-2. You say like 6-2 or something like that to be in the hunt. And it's not easy teams they're playing. I think it's going to be very tough for them.
No. Florida Panthers, you guys, you have a perfect season. If you miss the playoffs, say you're out by January, retool. Sell a couple of players off, grab a few more draft picks, pull a Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay missed the playoffs one year. They sold a couple of players off. They got more draft picks. They retooled. They rebuilt their farm a little bit, and they got right back into the playoff hunt. Florida can do that. Missing the playoffs because you went to the conference finals the year before is nothing to be ashamed of. You're still recovering from that, and you guys, with a reloaded Florida Panthers team next season, they're going to be deadly.
Yeah.
Completely healthy, yeah, they're going to be deadly next season.
And just again looking at the the cap friendly, again, it's showing that Ekblad and Montour are on LTIR. That's $11 million for a team that's $1 million and change over the cap.
Yep.
So you have maneuverability depending on how long those guys are out of the lineup.
Yep.
So they could they be a candidate for a first third of the season trade if things aren't going well? Yeah, they could be. They could be, but as you said, and you can give the numbers to back it up. It's going to be hard with them, but they need to have so much going with Bob,
right?
Because you lost Alex Lyon, who did a nice job as the backup. You got Spencer Knight coming back from his little time off, and you don't know what he's going to be like. You got Stolarz as your backup if he's not playing, and he's pretty much in and out and very inconsistent. So you're going to have to, again, rely on, they're one of those teams you're going to rely on your number one goaltender to play 65, 70 games. Again, he's 30, Bob is turning 35 in 2 months, in a month, I should say. So, you got to hope that he's going to be ready, because he's going to have to be your difference.
Yep.
Offensively, the team is not that bad. But as we said before we came on here, top 6 heavy. If you get past their top 6, I think teams can do the damage. But they're going to be there right now. Looking at things, I hate to say it. You hate to see a team that's was that close to winning a cup, maybe not having a chance to get to the playoffs, but this is a definite possibility. I hate to say it, but it is.
Yeah, Panther fans, I hate to say this to you. Even if my bad, Matt Kachuk comes back on time, you're looking at 274 goals. The offense is there for you guys. Defensively, 236. But again, that's usually with Ekblad and Montour there. I don't
100%.
think, yeah. And right now,
No.
they're not there. And you need at least 250 goals or less, at most 250 goals or less, if you're going to be a bubble team making the playoffs. So the Panthers right now, to me, they're looking like the Pittsburgh Penguins. Lots of offense. Well, let me rephrase that. The Pittsburgh Penguins of a couple of years ago, top heavy. Defense is very, very shaky. Chris Letang is injured. This is what I'm seeing right now out of Florida. You're losing your top two defensemen. You got an overaged goalie who had a phenomenal hot streak during the playoffs. But, like you said, you're asking him to carry this team. I can't see it.
No, the days of a 65 game goaltender are just about gone.
No.
In this era of the league, there's no way teams can handle that anymore.
Right.
You've got to be able to have a 1A, 1B.
And you've got the younger players right now in Buffalo, in Ottawa, who are ready to run amok. Detroit's much more solid at this point. Boston is still Boston. Tampa is still Tampa. Toronto is still Toronto. That's a very tough division for a team that needs every single player to make it through that season, and they just don't have it. So,
and you remember, Florida was the last team to qualify for the playoffs. They qualified on the last day of the season.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that they had such a great overall regular season. It's just things worked out. The stars were lined, and Bob was fantastic after the first series,
Absolutely.
and turned everything around. So you had a great run, but you're going to have to expect to try to do the same thing. And I don't think they're going to repeat last year's numbers to make the playoffs. It's going to take probably 95, 96 points to get to that playoff spot. I just don't see this team doing it.
Beautiful segue. Beautiful segue on that one.
Thanks, boss.
Because for me, what's it going to take for all these teams to make it into the playoffs even as a bubble team, as a wild card team, and this includes the Islanders. Look, I believe you're going to need 97 points to get in. Could be 95, could be 96. You may need a little bit of help from these other teams if they get injured or whatnot. But for me, I think you're going to need 97 points. For right now, do I think Buffalo can reach 97 points? I'm not on that fence yet. I'm rooting for them, but I don't know if they can. But like we've said already on the show, they have the means to get to 97 points. I think they're buyers no matter what during the season. Detroit, I think Detroit can do it. I think Detroit can reach 97 points. I think they have the tools. They're going to be buyers as well. I don't think Yzerman is going to sell anybody else off. I think they're going to make a run. I think they're going to do it this year. The Florida Panthers. I got to go no.
Me too.
I got to go no. It's just too big of a steep.
Yeah, and you also know that, Kachuk, played injured most of the of the semifinals and finals. I guarantee you with an injury like that, he's not going to be 100%.
No.
No matter what you say, and that's going to be again another hindrance to their scoring ability.
Yeah. So now, what does this mean for Islander fans? Listen, Florida's not making the playoffs. Buffalo is still unproven. I think Ottawa is still unproven. Detroit's got all the tools to do it, but I still feel that I would take Sorokin over Husso. because I'm painting this picture right now. It's going to be a shooter's gallery, and you're going to lean on your number one goalie to try to get you into the playoffs. And I still have Sorokin over Husso. And again, if Detroit beats the Islanders out of a playoff spot, it's going to be by 1 point. And it's because the Islanders probably have another load of injuries like they went through last year. And it's just the way the season panned out, which is why I'm still trying to figure out why there's quite a few people who have the Islanders missing the playoffs. There is such a good balance right now from this Islander squad. I know they're looking for the offense, but the Islanders are on pace for 246, and that's without Oliver Wahlstrom. That's without Lou doing anything if he doesn't have to do anything for like the next 6 months. There's an opportunity here for the Islanders to just have a complete season, and they may not even have to worry about the wild card. They may get top 3. So, Detroit, I'm rooting for you. If you beat out the Islanders, okay. It's only going to be by a point, but I think Islander fans, you got a chip on your shoulder. I think the Islanders are going to be better than what most people are saying. But Gary, give me your thoughts. Is this going to be a tight wild card race?
Oh God, for sure, absolutely for sure. We haven't even got into the teams in our own division yet, and
No, that's going to be the fun one.
yeah, exactly. But I really think, as much as I'd like to see it, because I got a lot of Sabre fan friends that have been waiting so long, I'd like to see them finally make the promised land, but I just that tiny bit
next year.
Yeah,
I'm going to go
next season without question.
Next season, yeah, we're going to come back here
another year. Either Luukkonen or the other guy. They'll have their opportunities because defensively they're getting there. They're getting there. Power with another year in his belt, I think that'll definitely help. But yeah, you never. It's with an Yzerman team, I just can't see, him with the ability and have that cap room to make a move and do something. And I think that's going to be, that's going to be very important. Cap room this year, I think, is going to be very, very critical.
Yeah.
And with Florida, it was a great story to end the year, but I really think they could have did a lot more, and really didn't. They made a couple of deals here or there, but I don't think it's enough.
I think it's a great retool year for them.
Larson is not the answer. No, I think they weren't good enough. Oh, God.
Yeah. Thomas, I love you, but there's no way the Islanders are only going to score 200 goals this season. That's the NHL low. Unless there's an absolute plague on this Islander squad. And even then, I think some of the kids in Bridgeport can supplement some of that. There is no way the Islanders are only going to score 205 goals, 200 goals. No, they're much better than that. I'm sorry. You got to give them a little more credit. I know they're not doing what you want, but they're not 200. This is not a 200 goal team on offense. Sorry. Randy, if the Sabres get a goalie, they're in. Part of me wants to agree, but who's that goalie? Look, I'll say this, Randy. I'll give you the credit. If the Buffalo Sabres bring in someone like Marc-Andre Fleury, okay.
Katie bar the door.
Now we can have an excellent conversation here. Let's have some fun here. Buffalo Sabres bring in Marc-Andre Fleury. We're talking 8th place for the Sabres. Maybe 7th at most, but I'm thinking 8th. I think Marc-Andre Fleury with Luukkonen could get the Sabres to 97 points. They may need a little more help, but someone like Fleury could definitely do it.
I'd buy that and give Levi another year to build himself up in Rochester, because I like what I
Absolutely.
saw out of him at the end of the year. I
Sure.
just don't think he's. I just don't think he's ready yet. He's
Right.
only 21 years old. You get the sky's the limit with this kid. So
Yep.
that would be great.
Yeah. You know, Ryan Miller definitely not coming back. He's working for Anaheim now. But you know, Marc-Andre Fleury's not a bad idea. Get yourself a goalie who was a 1A goalie somewhere. I don't know how many are left, but that's the path you got to take. But that's the amount of help that
Well,
Buffalo needs.
rumor mill has potentially maybe Gibson coming out of Anaheim.
Oh, that's right. Buffalo makes a deal for Christopher Gibson. Oh, I did it again. Not Christopher. Yeah, Vladar, maybe. Yeah, but
Mhm.
I mean, Gibson going to Buffalo, he may take that.
Yeah,
That could get Buffalo in. Right now, though, August 23rd,
Gibson's
not with
about
what they
five. I
have.
think Gibson's about 5 million. They could do something. They've got enough room.
Like I said, the Atlantic Division right now is a hot mess, and I love it. You got 7 teams vying for playoff spots, and I hope they all beat the snot out of each other. I do. I really do. That needs a chance. 6, who's well, no, I'm gonna give Florida the benefit of the doubt for now.
You
I'm
putting
gonna
it on the
give them the
screen
benefit.
here?
Yeah. Oh, 6 million? Yeah, I'm I'm
No,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
give yeah, I'm gonna give Florida the benefit of the doubt for now and 7 teams in the playoff. But I think over that stretch, I don't think they're gonna end up making it, but they're not gonna make it easier. They're not gonna make it easy for Buffalo or Ottawa or Detroit to get in.
No, because they're all going to beat up on each other, like you said.
Yep. All right, so water cooler talk time. What do you think of the Matthews extension? Good for Toronto. Good for Toronto. In all honesty, good for Matthews. It's a good short-term deal. If he does really well, he'll get paid a little bit more. But from here on out, you can do 1 year, 2 year deals, make more money. 1 year, 2 year
Yeah,
deals,
because
make more money.
he's what 27.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's got another contract in him. Play it
yeah,
up, do what he can do. He could get 15 in a couple more years. Who knows?
sure.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And I
No,
guess we're going to
not
be
at
talking
all.
about Toronto next week, right?
I might. Yeah, we might do Toronto. I might do the Rangers. I might do Pittsburgh. You know what? Again, there's question marks, and this is the one thing I've been looking at a lot, in not just in the Atlantic Division, but the whole Eastern Conference. Backup goaltending is almost non-existent for a lot of these teams, and it's like offense is going to get these teams into the playoffs. That's the philosophy, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. I mean, granted, it's better for the game in some sense. You're going to, grab more fan attention. It might be more fun to watch, depending on what kind of a fan you are. But you know, when I think of goaltending, I'm thinking Boston. I'm still thinking Tampa, the Islanders, Carolina, New Jersey. But after that, the
Sure.
goaltending's the backup goaltending's in question. And I'm sorry, Ranger. There's a lot of Ranger fans who are not thrilled with Jonathan Quick.
No,
And again, Pittsburgh's not too thrilled with Tristan Jarry and Nedeljkovic. You know,
Nedeljkovic, yeah.
yeah, they're not thrilled with him either. And Jake Guntzel is on long-term injured reserve right now. So, there's a lot of question marks. And Washington, I don't even want to talk about Washington's goaltending at the moment. You know, goaltending seems to be like going off to the side here, and it's another wonder why you know, if they think offense is going to win it, okay, watch the Islanders make the playoffs, and everyone's wrong. I mean, God help everyone if Bo Horvat has a career year, Noah Dobson has another career year, and everyone's running on all cylinders here
And
for the
Matt
Islanders.
Barzell comes back to he
Yeah,
comes back to his usual self, his first year self.
and Oliver Wahlstrom has a breakout year. Like, hello, I I just don't get it. But again, it's August 23rd. We don't know what moves are going to be made. But
And for years and years and years, every Islander fan that's over the age of, let's say, 40 knows,
sure,
that we just don't get any respect at all. And that's what you want. If you want all these experts to predict us down, because when
yes,
things go the way they hope to go, and the team does better, then they have to basically eat crow. And that's what you want. You want
right,
these fourth period and the hockey writers and all these experts to shun us. And then because we're different. Because our team is constructed different. We think different. Let
right,
them. Let them. Because it's going to be so nice if everything works.
right.
And then we can all have our heads up and smile. And that's what we're looking for. So believe me, the people that think we're going to be a bottom of the league scoring team, no, it's not going to happen. We're not going to be at 200 goals. I think you said 240, Paul.
Yeah,
You said
245. That's what
Yeah,
Oliver
I'm
Wahlstrom.
thinking I'm thinking a little better. I'm saying probably a 255.
Sure.
And because if Sorokin and Varlamov do their jobs, we're not giving up more than 220, 210 maybe. So just think of that positive number for us.
Yeah.
So you like them.
So, and I will appease Randy here for a moment. Paul doesn't like talking about the Maple Leafs, gives him a rash. Not this year, believe it or not. Out of the Atlantic, unless Tampa pulls something out of a hat that we don't see coming, Toronto should win. Toronto should be in the conference finals this year. It's theirs to lose, very much like Carolina. The division right now belongs to Carolina. Toronto, it's the Atlantic Division belongs to Toronto unless Toronto finds a way to screw up. It's theirs to lose. So
Yeah.
there you go, Randy. That's my preview, but I'll go deeper in later on. The power play can't get any worse, can it? No, it can't. Um, I I'm thinking the system got tweaked or it's about to be tweaked. So we'll go from there. I think the Islanders have added a little more speed, but again, the Islanders have got to communicate on the power play. And they can't hold on to the puck. I know Barzell loves to do that, but they need to come up with a system that keeps that puck moving.
Unpredictability.
Yes.
If the fans in the stands can see it, guess what? So can the experts that watch.
There you go.
I mean, I always wondered why my season tickets are behind a net. And like in the first couple of games as a season ticket holder, I found out why. Because I can watch a power play, go up or go down. And I
Sure.
just see it. I mean, I was constantly yelling in the playoff games, do something different.
All right.
Oh my God, it kills you. And believe me, we feel the pain. But I think in my heart of hearts, and again, this is what we were talking about with Ollie. I think Ollie is absolutely key on the power play working with Bo. I think that could be something if it works out. But they have to stop dropping the puck back to Barzell to bring it in. No speed and no options. Absolutely right.
Absolutely right, Jim.
Do the same damn thing every single time. And speed is not necessarily a factor on the power play. I don't think so. It's important, but it's not the biggest important thing. It's being able to do something different every time you present a power play, not play the same way.
And put the puck in play.
Yep.
Even if you don't shoot it, put it towards the goalie.
But it's not necessarily just shooting it. It's not having your skates locked and not moving.
Right.
That was the thing I learned playing roller hockey is you always kept You always want a power play kept moving. You never stayed stationary. You were always looking to a corner, to the slot, to the half wall. You always moved. And I'm watching these penalty killers for the other team. They could just hold their position because the Islanders are not moving.
I agree with this.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the chip and chase every once in a while.
Nope.
Absolutely. Boston did it. Boston does it for a living.
Yep.
Boston does it for a living. Thomas. Give me a moment, Thomas. Let's see. Besides Nelson, who can score over 25 goals? Well, Anders Lee, he's healthy. Bo Horvat, Brock himself. And to your credit, I think Matt Barzal can score 25 if he's actually pushed. I think he can do that. It's there. I mean, Hudson Fasching was on pace for almost 20 goals. He only played for what, 40, 50 games out of the year? He had 10 goals.
Yeah.
Give this team a chance. Overall, give this overall team a chance. It's not one player. It's not. Anyone who's complaining about one player, they're looking at this team as it's in a rebuild. Take it for one who's covered. Same thing with Gary. When you're just nitpicking each of these little players, all you're doing is talking about this team as if it's in a rebuild. It's not in a rebuild. It's not going to be in a rebuild. We've been saying it. They cannot go into a rebuild. Get your minds out of that thinking. It's not going to work. They're never getting into a rebuild. They can't afford to. They can't. So,
especially with the other things that are going on around the campus of Belmont Park, there will not be a rebuild of this organization. It'll be tooled. It'll be adjusted. It'll be tweaked. But it's not going to come like the Mets did and crash and get rid of assets like that. That will not happen anymore. The days of Mike Milbury getting dumping players out, because he's told to, is not going to happen anymore.
No. Jim, I like this. Wally can score 25, needs to play on the top two lines to do it. I'm going to go in a different route here. I agree with that partially. I need to see Wally healthy at training camp. I need to see how he's skating. I need to see some of that rust from not playing for a while. He doesn't have to score 25 goals for me at the start of the season, starting at the beginning, at the start of the season. If he can score 25 goals even from January and take that into the playoffs, I will get excited because that's another level of Wally we have never seen before.
Yeah, so if you figure if he's healthy the last 40 games and he gets 12 or 13 goals, that's 25 goal pace. I'll take that. He doesn't have to get to 25 at game 82, but if he's playing that way coming into April, I will take
playoffs
that in a heartbeat. Take it
absolutely.
in a heartbeat. And I think no matter from this injury, it always takes a guy 10 to 15 games to get to his steps. To get his sea legs going. So that's why I'm not gonna buy that number. I would rather say give me 12 or 13 goals in the last 40 games. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And that's a sign. And
but score another 12 or 13 goals in the playoffs.
Yeah, we all know what kind of torque that kid has on a shot. He's gonna have that, but you gotta, the legs gotta feed the wolf. So if he's when his legs are ready, then we'll start the countdown.
So, and again, remember, Anders Lee took a little while after his, surgery. I believe it was his knee as well. He took a little time to get back into the groove of things and whatnot. So, as long as Wally comes back healthy, ready to go, As long as he's not traded, we'll see what happens there. Again, it's August 23rd. You never know what happens with Lou, even before the season. So we'll see what happens. So, um, any other questions, comments, concerns on this August 23rd, 2023? We're approaching 9 o'clock. Um, again, I'm good with this team right now. I like where they are uh, compared to the other bubble teams. I, I'm not gonna lie. Detroit's the only one that's gonna give me the fuss right now. Buffalo, and I'll give Randy credit. Buffalo gets themselves another decent backup goaltender. Buffalo's going to cause some havoc, and there's no doubt about it. Ottawa, same deal. I think Ottawa is no more than 2 years away. Buffalo is no more than a year away. If Ottawa were to make a couple of moves, they could speed up that process. Absolutely, both those two teams have enough cap space to do it. Um, but again, it's early. It's still August. We've got about a month, maybe 5 weeks before the teams are, you know, before they get their team, going. We'll see.
Well, it's about a
Um,
month to preseason. I think preseason
yeah,
is September 25th. So, 3 weeks they'll be in camp.
right. All right, I'm going to entertain this one because it's water cooler talk. Why not?
Sure.
What are we trading for Nylander? Well, Toronto is in cap hell, correct, Gary?
They are about 5 million over with that long term. No, sorry, 3 million. They're 13 million over the cap right now. Their projected cap hit is 96 million, but they have 10.3 million in long term with Matt Murray and Jake Muzzin. So
Okay.
that means they're about 3 million over the cap right now.
So you can trade Nylander for JG Pajot,
And
Oliver
he's
Wahlstrom.
making Nylander's making 6.9 million right now for this year.
Yeah. So JG Pajot, that's 5 million. That's saving you 2 million. Throw in Wally. The numbers are going to be close if Toronto wants to send someone down after that, but that's a salary cap move.
Yeah.
That's a cap move.
With the other
would be in
guys that they signed,
compliance.
the other guys they signed, that's the only possibility, really, right there.
That's go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's about the only. He's got to be the move, but yeah, Paj and Wally and maybe something else. Yeah, that would be it.
Sure.
But we are also 500,000 over the cap, so you have to remember that too.
Yep. So it's like, who else are we sending over?
Right.
So it would be a salary cap move. Could it happen? Sure. Why not? I mean, August 23rd, water cooler talk. Why not? Could we resign William Nylander? That would be the question. I don't know. I don't think, for me, I don't think Lou will give Nylander more than Matt Barzell. And I think Nylander wants to make close to what, 11, 12?
10
Who
to
knows?
11. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would probably be too rich for Lou unless he extends Nylander on an 8-year deal, whatever that would be. So
You got
I don't
Paj,
know.
you got Palmieri, there's possibilities, but they're not going to take on more salary, so you're not going to be able to get Nylander for a song, unfortunately, because our cap's going to be affected as well.
Yeah.
So you're helping them.
You could pull it off for 1 year deal. Yeah, you could pull it off for 1 year, but then how expensive is Nylander going to get?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the question. So I don't think Lou would bring Nylander over unless it was a sign and trade. That's how Lou has always worked. So I like
and
the
you
idea.
wouldn't have much coming off the books after next year.
No,
because the only contracts that are finishing are Clutterbucks, Martins. Carson Koeman only got a 1-year deal, and
sure.
and Aho. So that's it. you don't have much else coming off. And
But
Wally,
if the salary cap goes up $4 million, you got a shot at signing Nylander. Let's
right.
just be honest. You could do the $11 million with Nylander. But again, Nylander going to take, is Lou going to sign Nylander to more money than Barzell? I don't know. I don't know what the principles are around that, or I don't know if Barzell will allow that. I don't know. That's a personal contract. That's a tough one to do.
Yep.
Me personally, I don't mind the idea of bringing in Jake DeBrusk. Because Gary, let's think about it. Let's talk about those wild card teams. Buffalo, Boston. I'm sorry, Buffalo, Detroit. They wreak havoc on Boston, and Boston gets off to a slow start as well. Even though they had that great season last year, I'm not impressed with their center line. Pajot for DeBrusk, I didn't mind that idea.
No,
I mean,
I don't either.
I have no problem with DeBrusk, Barzell, and Palmieri on one line.
No, they can use another good. They can use a power guy, and
Sure.
I think DeBrusk has that ability, and he's been unfortunately overshadowed in that Boston team by a lot of guys.
Sure.
I think this would be a perfect situation for him.
Right. Now, again, this is just water cooler talk, folks. We're not confirming anything or whatnot. This is just all the rumors you guys
This
have
is
heard.
just the rumors we think, and if it's a perfect world, could it be a good deal for this team? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I love Pajot. I love his face-off work. He's a good two-way player. He does everything great. But for a good trade, sometimes you have to get rid of something to get something. And I think both teams would benefit from this trade, with Boston losing both Krejci and Bergeron to retirement. They're good. They're in desperate need of centers. So, the Bruins have a need. They can get it from us. We have a need. We need a good, strong, forward to go in the second or third line. DeBrusk would be a perfect fit and be good for the power play.
Now, here's the other thing. Now, this is more of a fact than it is a rumor. The only way JG Pajot gets traded is if Matt Barzell wants to play center at the start of the season. If Matt Barzell still wants to play center, then the Islanders will have to put a little bit of pressure on Pajot to waive his no trade clause to get traded to Boston. Would he do that? I don't know. That's the other question.
That's right. It's a modified no trade, right?
Yes. I despise you. I absolutely despise you. Do not even do that. He would.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it in front of you. He'd do it behind my back.
That's true. He does like me.
Yeah, he does like you. He'd do it behind my back. But yeah, that's our thoughts on DeBrusk. I wouldn't mind it. Not at all.
Hi, Steph. It's a friend of mine from St. Louis.
Cool. Yeah, we missed Tarasenko. Yeah, we didn't have $5 million for Tarasenko. So there's that one. Any other? Well, let's talk real quick. We're just over the hour mark here. Is there anything you want to see the Islanders, make a move, perhaps, or are you content with the team the way it is, and you want to see Wally succeed?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to see Wally succeed. We last year kind of, were on the point of having him start the year in Bridgeport and all that, and we really think he needed something to prove, and he did well before he got hurt. I was very happy with his play. He stuck up for his teammates, and that put an extra, bit of points on his ledger. So I was fine with that. And I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he's been well versed in being told that he's got, this is the season he's gotta put it up. When you're a first round pick that high, you've got a lot of, opportunities, but you got to take it. You got to take on those responsibilities. Noah Dobson did. Now it's time for Wally to do the same. He's got tremendous talent. And I don't think it's a problem within the ears, but I think it's just a matter of putting everything together and get that full package out. And I think this is the opportunity for him to do it. And if he can do it, I really, really think that he will do well with Bo on the power play. I really do. I like Bo's game with him on the power play. I just think it's going to work.
Okay.
If it
does,
I'll pat myself on the back.
Attaboy, and I'll give you the credit. Because you're the second smartest person on the screen right now. But we'll see.
Amen, brother.
We'll see if he goes up to number 1 soon.
Nah.
This is for everyone in the chat room. This is for you. Where are you slotting Oliver Wahlstrom? We'll get to Jim's question in a minute. Where are we putting Oliver Wahlstrom? Do you want to put Wahlstrom up with Bo Horvat on the right-hand side if Matt Barzal goes to center? I mean,
goes to the left wing.
You like Emval, Horvat, and Palmieri. Do you put well? All right. Let me change the scenario. Let's say Barzal does not get moved and he wants to play with Horvat. Where are you putting Oliver Wahlstrom when he's healthy? Are you putting him on the third line? Are you putting him on the second? Where would you like to see him go?
So it would be probably what, when you think of what, Lee Nelson and
Fashing?
Or Palmieri.
Yeah. There's a log jam right now at the right wing side.
Yeah.
If Matt Barzal stays at right wing, we do have a log jam. Oliver Wahlstrom has never played left wing, boys and girls, ever.
No, he's always been a right wing.
Always been a right winger. And Barry Trotz has also said this before. He's never really played top line minutes anywhere on any team.
No.
This is why I'm asking, where do we want Oliver Wahlstrom if he's healthy and ready to go?
I don't think he's earned one or two yet.
Okay.
I think he's got to earn it. And this is where I say this is where he's got to step up.
Okay.
He needs to be the man. And he's not going to do it right away at line 1 and 2. He's got to work on the third and build himself up. You don't have Josh Bailey in there, so he's got his opportunity to slide in.
Right. Putting Oliver Wahlstrom on a power play 1 or power play 2? And this is for everybody, not just Gary. This is for everyone here.
Yeah, no,
this is water cooler talk time.
And don't think I'm the shell answer man. I mean, I would start him at 2, but he's got to get to 1. He's got to get to 1. Unless they have immediate chemistry coming out of camp. He's got to earn it. Okay. But this is the opportunity to earn it because he's an RFA next season.
Right.
So he wants that $5 million contract. I know he does.
Right.
So in order to get that, he's got to show, like my friend from Missouri, it's the show me time. He's got to show us.
Okay.
Oh, correct. I'm watching the Met game. It's a total crap show. Anyhow,
power play one. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. He needs to be on power play 1, but you don't put him there now. He's got to earn it.
All right. So if you're not going to put him with Bo Horvat, who are you going to set him up with on the second power play?
Yeah.
Do you do Barzal? Does Barzal do the second power play, or is Horvat and Barzal going to be on the first power play?
Yeah, you would think that's how it would go.
Okay.
I would think that.
Maybe Nelson. Does Nelson run the power play a little bit?
We always forget about Brock.
Yeah. Nelson to Wallstrom, that can be a nice little setup.
Yeah, it could be. That could be. Well, let's get back to that Patrick Kane question.
Oh, okay. Where are you? Yes. Are we in the running for Patty Kane? And would Lou let him wear number 88? Um, I'm going to say no to Patty Kane, but I would say yes to letting him wear number 88.
If he was here, but I don't think he's going to be here.
No. If he were a pure rental, and again, the Islanders do need to make a little bit of money. Yes, I think number 88 would actually be allowed. A ton of jerseys will sell, and that'll be the end of it. But I think it would be like literally a three to 6 month thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard pass, on Kane, that's
Hard
fine.
pass.
No and no. Yeah. But no, I think Patrick Kane, in all honesty, if he goes to two teams, if he's got a choice between two teams, I think it'll be the Rangers or the Sabres. I think he's going to take his time. If the Sabres are close to the playoffs, like I said, Gary, this is where I think Buffalo can make a little bit of a stand here. But again,
Homecoming.
you're only looking at
Literally
a
going
first round.
home.
Yeah,
Guys do better when they go home.
that's right.
I could see that coming. Yep, can definitely see that coming.
Any other questions, comments, worries, especially if you're in that Canadian market, media market?
That you mean that
So-
one in the Mountain Time?
Maybe. No, is he Mountain Time? Yeah, he's Mountain Time.
Yeah,
He's not Pacific.
He's Mountain Time.
I'm not answering any more of his questions. He's always getting me sour with the Leafs and whatnot, and never answering Leafs questions. And great question here. Ishakov getting a call up. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes at some point, but it's got to be injury related. And this is gonna go for every Bridgeport player at this point. No one is coming up unless a player is injured. That's it.
Which means that Simon Wallstrom will be back in Bridgeport.
Simon Holmstrom, yes, will be back, should be back, no
Yes.
doubt.
No doubt
Now,
about it.
having said that, Jim, Ruslan Ishakov needs to dominate the American Hockey League. By dominate, I mean if he's got 76 games, I want to see close to 80 points, whether he does it by himself or not. I need to see him in the top 10 in scoring in the American Hockey League. I don't care if it's all goals. I don't care if it's all assists. I need to see those points. Simon Holmstrom, I need to see a 20-goal season out of Simon Holmstrom.
Yep.
I need to see it. I need to see that he can shoot the puck more. I need to see that he can put the puck in play. I need to see more out of Simon Holmstrom this coming season. William Dufour, same case. 76-game season. I want to see at least anywhere 60 to 65 points.
He ended up in the 40s, didn't he?
Yep.
Like 48 points, something like that. Yeah.
I need to see more out of William Dufour. No doubt. I need to see it out of all of them. Absolutely. Consistency is going to be the key. No doubt. And that's again, those were all first timers. I let that slide. This year, I want to see more. I need to see more in order for me to be confident to tell you guys, yes, they're ready to play. Ishakov,
Yeah, I mean, Maggio, you give him a pass for this year. But
completely give him a pass.
Yeah, I still think he's on a good trajectory.
Yeah. And for those of you who read the prospect rankings, throw it out the garbage. Toss it. I almost never pay attention to any kind of prospect rankings ever. Ever. It's a middle of the summer. There's nothing else to write about. Let's make fun of the prospects. It never pans out that way anyway. Here's the thing when it comes to prospects. Okay? The goal for every team is not just the Islanders. If you can grab it, two players preferably 3. But if you can grab 2 players in a draft, you are good to go. You won the draft. That's it. Bare minimum. Okay. If you can get one of those players to play 200 games in the NHL for your particular team, you won the draft for your own team. That's how it works, folks. Okay. Luke took over in 2018. He was there at the draft. Granted, Garth was there. They didn't have to do much. Dobson and Wallstrom landed on their laps, literally. Noah Dobson is a future star, if he isn't one already. Oliver Wallstrom, we're going to find out this year. Guess what? Those are year 2 players. Simon Holmstrom is going to have a future with the New York Islanders in any capacity. It doesn't matter. Samuel Bolduc is that second pick from that 2019 draft. He's going to be in the NHL, hopefully for 200 games. Guess what? It's a good draft. 2020, don't worry about it. You're only 3 years into it, not even 3-4 years into it. Plenty of players still that need to go through this system. And when they finally make it, it's a good draft. That's all you got to worry about. Don't ever worry about prospect rankings. It's just ridiculous. So, all right. An hour 16. We're done here. Thank you guys for coming on. Next week, we're still trying to work on guests, but we're going to do. If there's any teams you want me to cover for a preview next week, I can do that. I can dive into the Rangers. I can do the Penguins. I'll do a little bit more on the Western Conference as well. That way we can give you guys a better idea of where the Islanders really stand along with the rest of the conference. So let me know in the comment section what teams you want me to cover, and we'll go from there. Gary, where can they find you on social media?
At IslesMet63. And I don't tweet often, but definitely if you got questions or anything, but definitely let both of us know. Paul does a tremendous amount of work, leading up to the draft, and does a lot of these previews and has got all his numbers together. And believe me, he's busy with all the stuff he does on the side. So, I try to, we may bust on each other's chops a lot, and we do. Believe me, we do. I will, Steph. But it's great doing this, with him. So definitely tell your friends when the season gets, closer to the start. We're going to really get into this, and hopefully it'll be a lot more fun this season than the previous.
Yes. And for those of you who want to follow me on Twitter, it's P_Kreischer, KREISCHER. There we go, right there and right there. And for those of you who want to follow on Isles Talk on Twitter, it's at Isles Talk. Follow us on Facebook, and please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Greatly appreciated for everyone here. Gary, we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
Everyone, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, we'll do some more team previews, and hopefully, we can grab a couple of more guests. So, from all of us here, thank you for coming on, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Have a great night.
LGI.